I'm trying to remember what we can talk about. Lots of stuff. It's interesting, urban culture. Do you Oh, we can talk about Chicago. What do you like about urban culture?
First lady.
Oh, you talked about urban culture before.
Yeah. I love the art. I love the pace. I love public transportation. Not having to drive everywhere. Being able to bicycle. Lots of diversity.
Yeah, I get it.
Small towns are good. I'd love to eventually live in a small town again and have lots of chickens and goats.
So you like farms and cities?
I do, yeah. I made a lot of art that had to do with living in a city but being from the mountains. And how those cultures intersect.
Cool. It sounds like you're open to a lot of different cultures and experiences.
Yeah.
Cool. I like to learn about different cultures too.
Are you?
Like the first time I went to Ireland, it was a new experience for me because it was really different from America. So I want to visit more countries. Deaf people in Ireland have a different sign language. It's Irish Sign Language. So I was watching them, and it's almost the same as American Sign Language. So it's really interesting.
Is it kind of like signing with an accent?
They're pretty similar languages, but yeah, they're still different languages. Yeah, their finger spelling is different, the way that they have letters and everything.
How is it?
Most deaf people in Ireland talk. Like him, he grew up talking and also signing at the same time. So most people talk and they don't talk. So I don't speak, I use signs. So.
Is that pretty common in the United States, not to speak, but just to sign?
No. Just in general.
Right, yeah, that does happen often. It depends, though, on who the person is.
How are you able to understand?
He likes to hear someone's voice, but I don't care, I don't mind. So I'm used to just signing. It's just a different culture.
When
I grew up and went to a deaf school and have deaf family, so I'm used to it.
if you go to a country that doesn't speak English, are you able to communicate through sign language, or is it very different?
It's a challenge. It's a pretty big challenge.
She's a strong woman. She has a lot of...
If I meet deaf people from a different country, like in Berlin,
background. She has a lot of wisdom to it. With, her husband, obviously.
oh, like Belgium, sign language, it's a lot different. It's much more challenging to communicate with people in there. I have to do some research before I talk to deaf people. ex-mother-in-law grew up in Spain, and she didn't know a lot of English. She knew more like gestures to communicate,
But
so I
she was sign-
gestured to communicate with her. So it was challenging, so I had to figure out how to communicate for a year. So I don't know how to write, I don't read English, so I had to communicate through gestures. If I learned some Spanish, I could write it and some words, like bathroom or car. I know some Spanish words, but not many.
Is it pretty common to be fluent in sign language in a different language? Like German or Spanish or
By far, she's very strong. Yes. How come that's that?
Yeah, they'll sign. They'll be fluent in sign.
We met Hillary, some years ago.
Do you mean if a person lives in Germany and they're deaf, they're fluent in sign?
No, I mean for someone who speaks English or signs English or ASL to then learn another form of sign language, like in a different language.
Do you mean hearing people or? Do you mean hearing people or deaf?
Deaf? Yeah.
And the politics involved, she's a very different person. When she was with friends, she's warm and inviting people. She's a very sweet woman. Yes.
Yeah, they'll speak in sign language.
What did you think about President Clinton today?
It depends on the person. It depends on where it is.
Oh.
Some people don't talk, so it depends how much they can hear.
That's right.
It depends. If they have no hearing at all, then it just really depends on the person. So when I was born, I couldn't hear anything. I was completely deaf. And my vision was limited. So my parents tried to teach me to speak, so it was hard, so I couldn't catch anything. And so I learned ASL. Before I was oral and I was frustrated, but then I learned ASL. And it became a lot easier for me to see the signs growing up. So I got used to that.
Did your parents learn how to sign?
Yeah, they can sign. My mom signs pretty well, and my dad signs okay, and my brother and sister both sign. It's a different culture. He was born deaf, but he has hearing aids, and he has had speech therapy, and he never has interpreters. He was completely oral.
Okay.
He moved here and learned ASL 12 years ago, or about 10 years ago. And then we met 5 years ago, and he didn't know a lot of ASL, so I had to teach him, and he learned a lot more ASL and improved and improved. So yeah, it was easy for him.
And he can hear some?
He can hear a lot with his hearing aid. Without his hearing aid, he can't really hear, but with his hearing aid he can hear a lot.
One of my science teachers in high school couldn't hear. And we used to get away with talking in class by putting our books over our mouths so he couldn't see us. But he always caught us.
Oh yeah, he would lip read.
Yeah.
You could catch it, but he missed it if you put your books over your mouth. Yeah, I heard that.
Silly kids.
It depends on how much hearing loss they have. Are you interested in learning sign language at all?
I hadn't really ever thought about it until I became friends with Katie Alvarez.
Oh, cool.
But I think it would be interesting.
Yeah. I'm happy to see a lot more students who are eager to learn ASL and become interpreters, because deaf people need interpreters,
Is there a shortage of interpreters?
like for hospitals or medical situations. Yeah, they need interpreters. I meant a lot of deaf people need interpreting services, like for the hospital or for the doctor or for business meetings. Deaf people need more interpreters. So it's good to see students taking interpreting classes. Because deaf people can't always write back and forth. They
Yeah.
need their language to communicate.
Yeah, of course. Katie was explaining the difference between signing English and ASL. Can you explain that a little bit more?
So I grew up signing exact English. That was my first language. And when I entered deaf school, a lot of deaf kids signed ASL. And ASL is shorter sentences. Signed English is full exact English sentences. Oh, sign exact English is a waste of time. And ASL is short and fast and you get your point across. There's ASL, there's sign exact English, tactile signing for deafblind people.
Are there idioms that are specific or certain parts of the language that are specific to sign language? Sort of all the same.
Not really. Not really. A lot of deaf people don't know idioms really. Oh, he knows mostly slang words, like Irish slang words. Deaf people, not really.